One of my favorite songs by you is Uni.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I listen to that song, I'm like, oh shit, this brother is on a different level. This nigga is thinking crazy. How did that come about?
So I always advocate for education, but not in the way that has been presented to us over the years, and that's through higher education. Now, I was one of those kids who got C's and D's and 65s and 55s all the time, but I'm not dumb. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? I know I'm not stupid. I just don't want to have to prove to you that I learned what you taught me. I think the education system is flawed. It was based on how factories used to be, and where not everybody wants to work in a factory anymore. There's people that have creative and that want to be creatives, want to be entrepreneurs, want to do anything that doesn't have to do with structure or the structure that we were taught, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
But because we're sold this all the time, it makes people fucked up, and it makes people go to college not knowing what they want to do, but paying $40,000 a year just because people said they need to do it.
I'm an example of that.
And you talking about that? That's so. I got a marketing degree, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I came home, did the life insurance like I was telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Did some sales marketing job. Did the life insurance, and I'm like, all right, these shit suck. I'm gonna go coach football, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was like, yo, go be a teacher assistant, right? Fine, teacher assistant. And the whole time I'm talking to Jonathan, right? I'm like, yo, I don't really know if I want to be a teacher for the same reason what you just said, because you don't want to put a box around the kid's mind. You want him to think freely. You understand what I'm saying? I'm teaching this. I know he's not gonna care.
Even though that's not your intention to be a teacher, but the system that you're gonna be in promotes that.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And now even today, I'm a teacher assistant right now. Mm-hmm. You understand what I'm saying? But certain kids, you realize it's like, yo, I'm not gonna get to you. You look at me however this way. I'm at this point where like, yo, I don't want to deal with these type of kids. You understand what I'm saying? I don't want to deal with this.
Like,
yeah, keep it
teachers
100.
don't admit that, but you know what I mean?
Exactly. But like, I'm keeping on. I don't want to deal with a student like you, and there's nothing wrong with that. But how I look teaching, and we know how to be a student too in college, just on my phone. Mm-hmm. Like, come on, how you look teaching and someone's on your phone? That means what you're saying really is not important, and what's on here is more important. So that's why I'm fading away from that for that reason. But everything you said is right. Like, you don't. What school does is based off a factory. There hasn't been no change ever since, and we've seen the change right now with technology, like especially for the colleges
and everything. I just know personally that most of the things that I've learned that I'm using was from the internet. A lot of the things I learned in school aren't things that I'm really implementing in what I do, and I think it's just weird that you turn 18 or whenever you graduate high school, people, when you turn 18 and you're forced to decide what you're going to do for the rest of your life. And by way of college, though. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're going to go into all of this debt. A lot of people are in 80. The average debt is like 70, 80K. You know what I mean? And I think, I forgot the statistic. I think only 27% of people who graduated college are actually in the field that they majored in. You know what I mean? So the other 73% either dropped out or are not in that field. And that's because, because they chose a major that they realize is not what they want to do, or their parents forced them to go to school, or they just, they just don't want to. Shit change. People change, and you're making a big decision at such a young age that ultimately affects the rest of your life. And I think the hardest part of it is the amount of debt that you accrue while going to college. I think that's the biggest problem. There's nothing wrong with being taught anything. There's nothing wrong with education, but having to pay so much money to do something in an age where I can just learn this on the internet. I can get my phone and just learn what you're telling me. It's bad, and it sorry to, I know you. No, you're good. And it promotes. It promotes. I just don't want to have to prove to you that I learned what you taught me. Mm-hmm. And there's so much stress that comes with it. There's just so much stress that comes with going to college. Now, I'm not to say college isn't good. There's a lot of good things that come with college, like the people that you meet. You know what I mean, or the amount of programs that you're able to. There's things that you learn that you probably wouldn't have learned if you didn't go to college just because of where you live. but at the same time, you're paying so much money to get this. It doesn't the reward isn't it doesn't balance with the risk
on a large scale.
On a very large scale.
That's my issue. Like a lot of people say, college is a business. What does that mean? Like most businesses, they start off with a good intention and they serve a very specific purpose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like maybe when the computer was first created, it was created for the military to use for very specific like tactical reasons.
Mm-hmm.
Then everything becomes mass produced and they try to get everybody with it, even though you really don't need it, right?
Mm-hmm.
College, and you said it in your song too, like if you want to be a nurse, a doctor, a lawyer, I get it.
Yes.
College is for you.
This is what you need to do.
And I think colleges realized that. I was like, okay, how do we expand this to just get people to spend money with us?
Mm-hmm.
That really doesn't mean anything. And I think that's why you have, it's almost like a status symbol. Mm-hmm. Like you ever heard of a parent talk about their kid? It is a status symbol. And I think that's the manipulation of that system. I think that's how they market it.
And they know that.
They know
that. Like I went to college because my mom wanted me to go to college and I went. Like I didn't go immediately after I graduated high school, but I ended up going. But once I was there, I was like, yo, this is not what I want to do. My career doesn't have anything to do with this. I'm doing this simply because, of outside opinions. And a lot of people are in college because of that.
We need to take a quick break. I got to call Priest. That shit just cut off.
Oh, it did? Okay.
Yeah, call him off. Sorry, guys. We had to take a quick intermission. The camera cut out, but we are back. What were we talking about? College.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I think I was saying, man, I think it's just a lot of people are making really bad decisions. They're putting themselves in a box. They're putting themselves hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt just to achieve a status symbol so your mom can say, yeah, my son has this degree. Mm-hmm. And listen,
that's
bro,
what it's become. That's what it's
become. Like, my mom is one of the smartest women in the world, right? And I'm happy I went to college. She definitely forced me to go to college, but I wanted to go to college too. So that was like a partnership thing. But after I graduated college, and I'm like, okay, I need to make money first of all because I'm tired of being broke. Mm-hmm. But I also want to figure out what I actually want to do. And she's like, no, you need to start your master's degree now. You need to do this. You need to do that. Number one, my mom is not very forceful, but you feel the pressure. Like, Nick, you need to go to school. Nick, I think one time she threatened to kick me out of her house if I wasn't going back to school. And I'm like, I have a strong personality, so I'm not going to let that take over. But it's like, I don't know. You just have to give people, especially young people, the ability to figure out what they want to do without putting that pressure on them. And I think the parents are a big part of that. I was going to say my mom is very smart, and everything she's taught me in life, I agree with. Mm-hmm. Literally, now that I have graduated and she wants me to go to grad school, this is the only thing I tell her. Like, yo, I don't like how you move on this. Like, this is not, because education saved you, it might not be my path. Mm-hmm. And I think that's what parents need to understand, because where they come from, education was the gold card. It was the key to everything. In our generation, it's not.
It's not.
It could play a role, but it's not the whole. It's not everything.
But
there's a lot more.
Not play a role too.
Yeah, I think it's a certain education though. Because I'm starting to realize, like when I was looking at studying for the LSAT, and I'm starting to realize, like reading on Don Peebles. Like he went to what's these schools called? Not
charter school.
Charter schools, yeah, like smaller, and they actually teach you college stuff. And then I'm starting to looking at the high school I went, and I worked there too. And the teachers is there, yeah, they're there to do their job, and they're gonna excel with the students gonna excel. But I'm starting to think, yo, all these kids should not be in one school. There shouldn't be 25 kids in one classroom. You shouldn't mix everything up like this. It's just too much going on for these kids. It's too much going on for these teachers. It's a point where the teacher job is to just get the kid to graduate. No matter what, if they do all their work or not, they'll be like, yo, you don't even have to do all your work. You're senior. You ready to go? Just go.
And it also don't matter what you're teaching too, because the curriculum that's being taught now is what worked 50 years ago. It doesn't work the same in 2020. The things that we are learning. Well, and I haven't been in high school since 2011. Yeah. But at the same time, when I was learning high school, I'm 27.
You graduated in 2011? Mm-hmm. Damn, that's a fact. Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah, we old. So,
big fact.
But we're being taught things that made sense to learn in the 1960s. It's 2020. There's so many things that need to be taught that's conducive to living a good life. You know what I mean? Like learning credit, learning tax, learning about taxes, learning life stuff. Why don't we learn life things in college? Why everything is mechanical?
Do you think there's a real conspiracy to make us as dumb as possible so that we are made kind of slaves to the system, like with credit? If they taught us to, let's be honest, America runs off a lot of debt, right? Mm-hmm. Just like in New York City, they're giving you tickets everywhere because that is a real part of the income of the city, and the city probably wouldn't really be able to function without it. Mm-hmm. Are they purposely trying to keep us dumb so that they could make money off of everybody going in debt?
I don't think it's as black and white as that. So, for instance, the credit system that's being used now was started in 1988, 89. So it's fairly new. It's relatively new. Whereas the curriculum that we're learning now was stuff that was implemented in the early 1900s, right? So I don't think there was time. They don't want to revamp the education system, so that's probably why a credit class isn't in the system. But that's another reason. But I also do think that it's something that they don't want people to know, because the more people that know it, the less the more competition that there is, and then it's oversaturated. So I think it's a little bit of both.
The more self-reliant we become, and the government wants us to rely on them.
Mm-hmm. And that's why I'm so big on, like, self-education is very important, but a strong household too. Because people, you don't learn it in school, but then people, again, start their own family, right, and they don't know shit.
Right.
And it's just a non-ending cycle. So, you know, it's either you got to change your mindset too. Like when you get older, you know, you go through high school, you get older, you really have to change your mindset and learn these things on your own so you could teach your kids, just so they won't be a victim to the whole system. You understand?
That's why I don't completely blame. I don't just like blame the schools and everything, like, because at the same time I have to have accountability. So if the schools aren't teaching me this, I need to still figure out where I need to learn it. You know what I mean? So I do need to take responsibility. Everybody needs to still take responsibility regardless of what the system is, because a bunch of systems are broken. That don't mean that you don't need to still find out. But at the same time, the system does need to be fixed.
And that's why Earn Your Leisure is about the... I'm telling you, Earn Your Leisure... Are you familiar with Earn Your Leisure? Mm-mm. So Earn Your Leisure is... one gentleman is a financial advisor. His name is Rashad, and the other gentleman name is Troy Millens, and he's the actual teacher. They work up in the Bronx over there, up in that area. But they basically just interview all businessmen. And like this dude named Wall Street Trapper, who actually teaches you, like, on an episode, bro. All this shit is free. He teaches you about the stock market. Every Monday, they do Market Mondays at 8 p.m. where they have Ian Dunlap, who's like a genius with the stock market, and they just go over shit. Over
Earn Your Leisure?
Yeah, Earn Your Leisure. But they had a gentleman on Market Mondays who literally started crying, bro. Started crying, break it down, because he was like, yo, y'all really like my big brother. He felt so emotional that he was able to speak to them, and they help him out, bro. And they was like, yo, push your Cash App in the comments below. Ian Dunlap gave him money, Rashad, all of that, bro. And these people are like, big brothers, and that's why it's so important, because people are realizing, like, yo, I don't need to learn this in school. I need to learn credit.
I need to learn money.
And money, bro. Money is really one of the most important things, and it's crazy
it's
how
just
it
how
is.
This country works.
If you
it's
know,
how the world works.
Exactly.
But I need to learn how money works. Everything else comes secondary. It's important, but money is how people are able to sustain life.
Yep.
Ever told on a nigga? No. Ever squeezed the trigger? Yep. Ever set a nigga up? No. Ever helped a brother out when he was down on his luck?